film acting is actually doing it all sorts of different ways. And because we have the luxury of editing, like that's the other thing. A lot of actors don't realize that we have editing. It's okay to screw up. You don't have to have a perfect take from action to cut at 30, 40, 50 times.
This is the Cinematography for Actors podcast.
More than a podcast, Cinematography for Actors is a vibrant community devoted to bridging the gap between talent and crew. Each week, our show offers transparent, insightful conversations with industry leaders. We unveil the magic behind the scenes, from candid discussions about unique filmmaking processes to in-depth technical exploration. Join us in unraveling the intricacies of filmmaking, one episode at a time. It's more than just cameras and lenses. We aim to inspire, educate, and empower as we peel back the curtain on the art of effective storytelling. Now on to the episode. Hi, everybody. Welcome to an episode of Cinematography for Actors podcast. I'm your host, Haley Royal. I'm joined here by your other host, Indiana Underhill. And I am so excited for today's episode. It's been a minute since Indiana and I really sat down together and talked to someone just that we're excited about, and it doesn't have anything to do with the festival or anything. So I'm excited for that, but I'm also really excited because I have finally found a place that our London, UK community members can practice the technical requirements of film and television performance, which I feel like I just want to always be able to pick and choose and find the good places that I can recommend to people. I'm excited to find people who understand what we're trying to do and seem to be aligned with it. So today, I'm very excited to introduce you to Daniel Fathers of Screen Actors Development Lab London. Hi, Daniel. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast.
I want to get people on the radar if they know you, because they've seen you in everyone's favorite shows. So let's do a little bit of throwing out some titles here of what they've seen.
You know him from
Camp Rock. That's what I wanted to say. Camp Rock, House of the Dragon, The Witcher, Snatch. Let's go through all of the really fun stuff. Orphan Black, which is like Canada. 90210. I'm like going through these of like stuff I love. Murdoch Mysteries, Beautiful People, Murder in the Hamptons. That sounds fun, by the way. I want to watch that. But you've done it like kind of all over the globe. You've spanned all of North America, you know, being born in the UK, moving to Canada, then going into, LA market, then back to London where you now reside. That must be incredible, because I want to talk to you about what it's been like to span different countries and act in different countries, and where you found directors differ or actors like your peers differ in performance, or I know we're going to talk about mindset. But yeah, this is great.
So I guess the four geographies that I've worked and lived in: the UK, which is its own sort of biosphere, and obviously Canada, so out west as well as in Toronto. So, and I did Heartland for CBC. Right?
Oh, there we go.
Right.
That's a big one.
Heartland, yeah. I played
oh my goodness.
And yeah, so Toronto, and then obviously LA. And then there's sort of the mainland Europe, so all of the sort of the Balkan countries that are offering tax incentives, a bit like Canada is to American productions. And so a lot of most of the work I do right now, even House of the Dragons, it's mostly English actors, but it's an American product. It's HBO. Witcher, the same thing. That's Netflix, so it's American money. So there's a lot of work in sort of Europe as well. So like Czech Republic, Romania. This last 6 or 7 months, I've been shooting in Italy, Hungary, Serbia. That's where we shoot The Ark for sci-fi. So So recently I almost feel bad saying this, because I know, look, most of my tribe, my actors are not working, not making a living. And so I had, even though, we've all been on strike and the writers were on strike and we all support it, but there were shows that, even House of Dragon, we had dispensations from SAG-AFTRA to carry on, but we couldn't do any rewrites, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, I've actually been kind of busy in the last 6 or 7 months. I'm on sort of 3 different shows, which that in itself, like flying from one country, I mean, the champagne problems, but whatever.
That's great. I don't think that that's something you need to feel bad about or feel like you're flaunting in front of anybody. I think that it's wonderful, and it's so encouraging to know that, like, it's still happening, you know? No, yes, it's slower for a lot of people. A lot of people aren't working at all, but it's still happening. The work is still happening. It will come back. Don't worry. There are people who are busy, you know?
Indy, going back to what you said about the differences, there are so many differences. I had to modulate how I audition and how I work in the different markets. So let's take the UK very quickly. They have 500 or 600 years of steeped tradition in stage acting, right? And all of the drama schools, most of them, and I'm going to generalize, there's always exceptions to a rule, the training for actors is very stage centric. So you're going to get amazing theater training at these places, but they don't focus on film and TV. And the difference, and look, I've done theater as well. I was in Mamma Mia. I don't know if you guys know that, at the Royal Alex in Toronto.
That is like, growing up in Toronto, that is like the big one.
I was in the 3rd cast and approved to go down to Broadway when needed. And it was a fantastic, I did 430 shows. It was fantastic. But you just don't make enough money. You can't buy a house or send kids to, go on holidays, buy, none of this, right? You've just literally got to do it for your art. Whereas in film and TV, you make as much in a day, even at minimum scale, as you do in a week, slogging 8 shows a week and doing brush-up rehearsals. So anyway, Britain's really steeped in that. I think, and this is just my opinion, I've probably get lots of hate mail, but I think Hollywood, America, is on the bleeding edge of this industry. It started in Hollywood in the 20s or even before that. And I think other countries are catching up, but we've been doing self-tapes for 15 years in the States, simply because of geography. Like if you're doing a movie in the summer in Oklahoma and there's you're up for a series lead or a series supporting lead on a series that's coming up in the fall, well, they're not going to let you fly off set. So we self-tapes or found a studio to do it, right? Whereas the Brits really have just started to embrace self-tapes, and it's really sped up since COVID. And so I do a lot of, originally how I started mentoring was agents would, they heard that I was, North American actor and that we've been, I was booking stuff on self-tape all the time. And they would send me clients and say, listen, great actor, but doesn't know how to self-tape. So can you teach them that skill? And it is, just like you guys are focusing on the technical aspects of filming, right? You can take all your scene analysis and your character development, but if you don't understand the technology of acting on camera and being on set, and also if you can't audition in a self-tape, you ain't never going to get to set. There's different styles of casting. In Toronto, they have big studios, they have a cameraman, they have an actor who's a reader, and they've got a monitor and a table and, even a boom mic coming down, and most of the time it's standing up, really pro-level auditioning. When I went down to Los Angeles, I was expecting that. And I remember one of my first auditions, I can't Tell Me Lies or something like that, some big networks. And I went to Paramount, and then I'm in this like tiny little room with the video cameras right here and the readers there. And it was
little
just
handy cam with the flap out on the side.
Right? A completely different concept, and until you get to screen tests, and then you're on set with everybody else. Listen, you can go into a casting director's house and sit on the couch, and I was expecting, in North America, it's like, would you like to stand or would you like to sit? In the UK, there's a lot of, you just sit, even if it's an action and it's clearly a right? So I had to adjust the way I did my auditions. I even actually at the beginning, even though I had a reasonable amount of credits in the US and Canada, I went to casting directors workshops not to impress them, not to get seen, just to figure out what they look for in transition, because it's completely different from the UK to Canada to, you know, New York and LA.
I feel like that's a good tip. I think it's like if you move to a new place, because I think a lot of actors, you know, are also constantly in motion, I think, or transition. I feel like that's a really good tip for, you know, when you move to a new place, maybe take a local casting director class just to get the tidbit of information to hear like how things are run or ask those questions.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, the style of acting is very different in the UK to, and I'm generalizing, to America. You know, we come from a very sort of method-esque exploration while we're filming, you know, very Meisner, very reactive, improv. Yeah, of course, we're going to keep to the text most of the time, but again, ministers don't, you know, some of them do. But the British ones, because they're steeped in stage, it's like the play, the words are gospel. The director is 100% in charge. Again, theater lovers are going to go, no, that's not the way it is. But in my experience, the actor doesn't have so much say in the creative aspect and development of the character. Yeah. It's the director's vision. Whereas in filming in North American, I'm going to say North American because, you know, Canadians are pretty damn good. And you know, a lot of American productions shot up in, you know, Vancouver and Toronto and Montreal and even out east. It's an all-encompassing collaborative, you know, I very rarely get acting notes from a director who's American or on an American. It's like they've hired us. We know how to prep a character. We'll have a discussion with the director and the showrunners and the writers, maybe if the writers are, you know, have enough power, right? If the showrunner is also the creator and the writer as well. We will have discussions about character and backstory and motive and that, you know, before we film. Maybe we'll come in a couple of weeks before, and I did that on The Dark Tower, Glenn Mazzara. He had all the lead cast in, and we just went out, we just had meetings and read-throughs and talked about it. We did that on the Pendragon cycle as well. You know, we do that a lot of times, but then when we're on set, we're collaborating, improving emotionally, and working with the DPs, right? Also, here's the other thing. North American actors mostly understand, I mean, not necessarily at the beginning, but we understand that it's a different medium, and therefore the camera, we need to understand what the camera does. We need to understand
100%
what the boom and the lav mic does.
Yeah,
right?
context. Yeah.
And how we can help sound department, how we can help the camera operators, how, you know, if we understand framing and lighting and movement and marks and having both eyes in the frame and the use of using, you know, the mind and thought, because the camera captures thought. So usually what I see, even with actors that I'm playing opposite on set, or actors that I mentor who have stage-centric training, again, there's always exceptions to a rule, is usually what they do is they come and they give a stage performance, which I call it the 3 C's. It's contrived, calculated, what's the other one? Controlled, right? I'm going to say it this way every time. And then there's no room to play and Meisner-esque emotional improv, right? And then they try to make it smaller, right? Well, that's not what screen acting is, in my opinion. And
it's not simply smaller. I want to ask you a little bit about something you said a moment ago. You mentioned that you've noticed you're not getting acting notes on the day from North American directors. And this is something that I got in an argument with someone on a different podcast about a week ago. Because it feels like that to me too, that the time for acting notes when it comes to North American film acting is before the day.
Yeah.
You go out, you talk, you figure that out before you get there, because on the day, the director is directing more than just the acting.
100%.
Do we align on that?
Yeah, 100%. You know, directors working closely with the DP and, you know, on lighting, on framing, you know, tracking, pulling, focus, all of that kind of stuff. The visual aspect. You know, if they have to direct the actor to go, oh, God, I'm not getting what I need, right? One, we haven't communicated and we're not on the same page. So we will, I mean, I've been talking leads and supporting leads and series, right? You know, people who are on set, and hopefully, you know, day players my observation is the director will, welcome to set. Okay, just so you know, this is, they give them a quick brief, right, go. And then they may have to, but the leads, not so much. Yeah, it's a collaboration. They know what we're doing. And we give choices. So here's the difference. I've worked with a lot of stage-centric trained actors that, and it took me so many years to figure out, why are they doing this? I don't understand. I went on the show. I won't name the actor or the show, right? But this actor was giving the same line reading on the 30 different takes, with the wide, with the two shots, with the coverage, etc. Right? And eventually, halfway through, I thought, oh my God, I'm changing. I'm trying to anyway, but I also had to be authentic to the read that was coming across the. And so I just stopped in character halfway through the scene, and then she went like this, and I went, oh, okay, now you're present. Right.
That's great.
Oops.
That's great. I think what's so great is like, and what you guys are talking about, and what I think from like crew side, like cinematography side, it's all about the context you have in order to make the right decisions on set. And so those conversations that you're having in anticipation of filming is all context to how, when you get involved, you've spoken to the director and producers, but then you get on set and you're working with the crew, you already have the context to make the decisions of like, and hopefully we're giving you that context too, but it's like, oh, they're probably going to use this in like this part in the close-up, so I'll reserve that emotion. Or, oh, because I know of the conversations about this character, when we go into like the leading shot, maybe it'll be fun for me to communicate with the operator beforehand that I might actually walk past them earlier, or I might actually like get a little closer to minimum focus than I thought I was going to, because the director in prep talked to me about this, and I'll try that out. But I think it's like this nice dance that you're talking about of having the context on set in order to make the right decisions for a character, which is great.
Yeah, so I make a certain amount of decisions of the different ways to do it, because if you're going to do it the same way, then then what has the editor got to do creatively? So here's the other philosophy. The 4x400 relay or 4x100 relay, there's a baton. And so I feel as though the character is the baton, right? So the person that creates the character initially is the writer. Okay. And then they run the first bend, and then they hand it off to a combination of the actor and the director. Right. And then they layer on their stuff of what the character's about. And then it's also off to the director and then the editor. Right. Combination of all. So I think, no, the actor does the back straight, then it's the director and the editor.
Yeah.
This is such an excellent way of seeing your crew as a team and knowing which leg is yours and which decisions are going to be yours.
Yeah,
and
because
what that
I could say 100%, right? So really, and of course the camera department and sound and production design, they're all involved with the shaping of the character as well. Of course they are. But ultimately, if you're giving the same read on every single take, doesn't matter what the frame is, what the lens is, then the editor only has a choice of, which frame, or like, should I cover her or him or the white, right? But if I'm giving them different creative choices as well, right? Faster pace, slower pace, more angry, whatever, giving different reads. Glenn Close, so she said, okay, so film acting is actually doing it all sorts of different ways. And because we have the luxury of editing, like that's the other thing. A lot of actors don't realize that we have editing. It's okay to screw up. You don't have to have a perfect take from action to cut 30, 40, 50 times. We're going to take this golden moment here, and we're going to splice them together and combined. It's going to be an amazing scene on both sides, right?
Yeah.
So I think actors put a lot of pressure. Anyway, I digress. You can see I'm passionate.
I love it. I want to ask you something that I think Haley told me before our call today. Do you believe actors who want to be solely film and TV actors need or require drama school?
100% not, no.
Great. Instead of drama school, what would you recommend, or how would you define learning the craft from an education standpoint? Where should an actor who's listening kind of begin if they're like, maybe I want to take this route and not do drama school?
Okay, we are stoked to shout out our audio sponsor, Deity Microphones. Their S-Mic 2 Pro shotgun mics have impeccable sound clarity, directionality, headphone monitoring, and a user-friendly design. And we're proud to launch our studio with them. Our goal is to bring you educational gems every episode, and with these mics, you can listen to the best quality audio possible wherever you are. To learn more about using Deity mics for your own podcasting, voiceover, or filming needs, go to deitymic.com.
We have some exciting news. CFA has teamed up with We Make Movies to get you a discount on production management services, including access to comprehensive production insurance and workers' comp for your next shoot. Visit wemakemovies.org/insurance and use code CFA23 on your intake form for 10% off your quote.
So a lot of the child actors learn the job on set.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was a child actor originally, and obviously doing Camp Rock, I worked with, it was just me and a bunch of kids, really super ridiculously talented professional young people. First of all, young actors have no fear. They're still playing. They don't understand failure or screw ups, whereas we learn that as adults. So that actually applies pressure to adults, whereas kids don't have that. They go, wow, they just fun, and
they go
just
for it. Yeah.
Right. And over the years, they learn the craft, right, on set. So you can have a look at lots of actors in Hollywood that have done that. So let's say you're not a child actor, you didn't learn that. So you've got a choice. Do I go to university, college or drama school to learn my craft? First of all, I'd say, where are you going to go, and what do you want to learn? There are different mediums. So do you want to be a theater actor, or do you want to potentially buy a house one day?
And make that decision now.
Those are your options,
right? Yeah. You want to do it for the love of the art, or do you actually want to make a living? Look, drama schools, especially in the UK, are very stage-centric. They're starting to do a little bit of film and screen, but nowhere near what we do in North America. I mean, look, I started studying film acting with David Rodenberg in 1999, and we already had a 2-camera, on rolly tripods. Sound, and then he would splice it into a VHS. That's how old I am. And we would watch it on the screen. He said, because we're watching it on the screen because that's where the performance is. It's not to the people in this room. That's right. Great. So that goes to another question of, what's the right level of performance? And I think it's this. It's distance and audience awareness. Those are the two differentiation. So the distance of me portraying what my character is either saying or feeling on theater has to travel to the furthest paying audience member.
Yeah.
Right. So the top of the house. Right. They might not be paying $250 per ticket. They may only be paying $50, but God damn it, they paid money to come and see me. So it has to travel that far. Okay. In a camera. And I love asking actors this. So what's the right level of performance for a screen? And they said, well, some of them say, well, between, me, the distance between me and the camera. I went, oh, okay, interesting. Or the distance between me and the microphone. I go, oh, interesting. Okay. So have you seen the shot in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid where we go like that and we pan out and the camera is actually a mile away on the other side of the Grand Canyon? Well, Paul Newman and Robert Redford are not, having their voice and their performance to there. What's the level with each other? That's it. That's all you need to know. What is the appropriate level between me and the other character, the actor I'm talking to? And it doesn't have to be quiet. You and I could be facing each other a yard away, and I could be screaming at you, and we could be in a postage,
totally.
Right?
100%.
So it's got nothing to do with the microphone, nothing to do with the framing, whatever. It's what's appropriate in the moment of the character between me and who I'm talking to. That's it. Yeah. You remember that, then you're going to modulate your performance correctly for the camera.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
I would agree. I mean, it's great, actually, I think, because it allows you, and I think, when we started CFA, we had a lot of people be like, a lot of directors and actors be like, this is unnecessary, or, well, I don't want my actors to have to worry about it. And I think this answers the question of like, as long as you have the context for how decisions are made, you can toss away that context and focus more on the performance between two characters in front of the lens with you and your scene
worrying.
partner.
You're not worrying. You're just being informed.
Yeah, because I think then at the end of the day, you're able to capture that performance. And if you need that context, you can switch it on without having to get outside of the character that you're in at that moment. So that's great.
The focus, you're always going to be in character anyway, but it's almost, you've got to have an unconscious consciousness, if that makes sense. I think Tony Hopkins, Sir Anthony Hopkins, said that you've got to have an unconscious consciousness. So we have to be conscious of where the camera is, where my mark is, but it can't be captured by the camera as me being conscious. So I have to be almost unconscious of its presence.
Yeah, right? This is great.
And it's hard when you've got a Steadicam operator flipping around and he or she is walking backwards and somebody's got the cable and whatever and they're bumping into right, and it's that tango. But again, we have the luxury of editing, so if we make a mistake, it's fine.
Yeah, I almost want to pull out my the conscious unconsciousness and unconscious consciousness are a part of the Tibetan Book of the Dead. It's like written in at the beginning for how to like accept people as they pass, and how to like let people not feel guilty for passing. But it talks about the two mindsets of those things in reverse. And I almost want to pull it out because I remember highlighting it years ago when I read it, and I know it's in the other room, but I love that. No, and it comes up a lot in conversation sometimes. And so I'm glad it came up today. That's great.
Yeah. And to finish the second half of the question, I think 3 questions ago, like where should they go to get trained? I would say, look, go and take screen acting classes.
Yeah.
Right?
Screen Actors Development Lab.
Oh, well, yeah, of course. Yeah, but I mentor and I focus on that, and I do it. My motive for I never wanted to teach or coach, because my preconceived ideas of acting coaches were failed actors, and I never wanted to be perceived as a failed actor, especially, right? So now I'm going to preface this, but my preconceived idea, I had found out, was wrong. So, and I'll tell you why. So I started doing this under the radar, embarrassed. I don't want anybody to know I'm coaching, but I do want to be spiritual and help my fellow travelers and share with them how I work. It doesn't mean that it might work for you, it might not, but this is how I work and how I do self-tapes and how I prepare, blah, blah, blah. And so agents kept sending me clients. Can you teach them this? I went, okay, but don't tell anyone. Right.
Yeah.
And then I came across a prospectus for the Guildhall School of Music and Drama. It was a master's level postgraduate certificate in performance pedagogy, the science of learning and teaching. And it said, we're looking for experienced performers, musicians, actors, dancers, etc., singers, who are teaching, and we want to teach you how to teach and share your experiential wisdom in a modern pedagogy way. But so, and I was doing the Dark Tower. I had a 5-year option. So we were filming for 6 months, 6 months off. And I actually did my essay, a master's level. So they wanted to know that I could write a master's level sort of thesis, dissertation, whatever. So I did that while I was on set at the Dark Tower in Croatia.
Wow.
Everybody went after work. Everybody went out for dinner, and I'm like in my hotel room, like reading papers and stuff.
You're like I can write a master's level dissertation. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
I can do it while I'm full time on set somewhere else.
Right? Yeah. No, I did. I totally did. And
Actors.
Anyway, so I did that for a year, and it really helped me be able to transfer my experience and knowledge in a more effective way. So learning was more effective. And then I came across, do you know Matthew Del Negro? He has a podcast and a book. He's an American actor. I highly rate him. He's a very cool guy. And I would say he's probably at my level actor, maybe even a little higher. kind of projects he's worked on or whatever. And he started mentoring and having this thing. It's called 10,000 No's. So have a look at that. And it's all about resilience, keep going and learning from the, growth mindset, learning from the failures. And I went, oh, okay, actually, this guy's not afraid to step out and say, yeah, I'm teaching. I'm a successful actor. And I'm reframing it. I'm mentoring and I'm guiding. And I started thinking about this. I went, look, we've been doing this as human beings for 300,000 years since we were Homo sapiens. The old grizzled warriors, teach the young up and coming warriors how to hunt, how to build shelter, how to, how to forage. All of that. We've been sharing our knowledge to the younger generations. So why can't I do that in acting? Right. And if casting directors or whoever say, well, he's a failure. Really? Well, I'm an actor nominated. I've won an award, reasonably credible stuff. I don't think I'm a failed actor. I might not be A-lister. And I've been around for decades. So I want to spiritually share and help and fast track these for the stuff that I've noticed, because I've worked with a lot of undergrads that come out of drama schools or whatever, and they're on set with me and they don't know the terminology. So
of course.
Yelling them. They don't know what first position means, or they don't know, okay, turn around, let's do coverage. They were like, and so I've been mentoring a lot of them on set with, it's okay, coverage, turn around. Okay, now we're turning around on you.
Yeah.
This moment is so painful too, for an actor it happened to me, who's just graduated. You graduate drama school and you believe you're ready. You've been told you're ready. You do everything you know you're supposed to do, and then you show up and you find out it was the wrong education. It wasn't what you needed. It's so painful, and you feel so alone and so scared and so trapped and uneducated after you just did all of this work to figure out how to be an actor. So I mean, thank goodness you're there for them.
Yeah, well, I think people have to investigate what it means to be a professional actor. What skills do I need? What knowledge do I need? And they really need to, there's people are just like, oh, I want to be an actor. And it's like they're from The Walking Dead, zombie, I need to go to drama school. And they don't even question because they stars, oh, I went to this drama school. Okay. Yeah. But for every star, I've met 10 actors who are now doing regular job, whatever.
Yeah.
They ended up actually not making it, not being very good. I've worked with and seen tons of, and I'm not poo-pooing drama schools. I want to make it, right? Especially if you're going to be a stage actor, absolutely, it's going to be great. Screen, it's different. So where do you go? You go to screen acting classes in Los Angeles, New York, whatever, even Atlanta, wherever you come from, Toronto, Vancouver. There's some awesome screen acting. Like, we got to learn the modern craft. The craft has changed even since I've been in the industry 25, 30 years. How fast, look, when I started, we were on film. And it was very expensive. And the turnarounds and the setups took forever. Now it's digital and the cameras are adjusted to lighting. It's like, there's only 10 minutes. Well, we finished the setup. So hurry up quick.
Yeah. Right? And I mean, lighting too. I mean, even lighting has changed. So instead of feeling the heat from a light to know that you're in the light, now it's LED technology where, and the cameras are so sensitive that you're barely being lit. Or if you
have to be able to know how to see that light bouncing off your own skin. Like, you can't just feel it. You have to see
if you want to use it, if you want to use it for a specific reason. Yeah.
I think the best actors I watch and admire, and the best actors that I have worked with and had the privilege of, they understand the entire process of filmmaking. They understand lenses, and I'm always talking to the camera operator.
Great.
What lens do we want? Like, where am I framed? Can you flip the monitor around? Because it's a visual medium. I need feedback. I need to know what you guys are seeing so that I can modulate to what I'm doing and giving the camera. Giving the camera.
Yes, and that's a dream for me. That's like a dream scenario. The actors that I've been lucky to work with who, are very aware of, they hear me saying, okay, we're going to swap to 35. They know what that means and they know how to use that space or not use that space, but use it for a real, like a way because they understand frame size, or have that conversation with the operator of like, when I get up, I'm going to be doing this, or that, how was my speed there? Or we're having that conversation. But I think just like the collaborative aspect of filmmaking, like my department's collaborative, but you're the ones as actors making it happen. You're the ones that we're filming. And so it should, we should all be collaborative. And I think the crew, when crew is not taught that actors don't know this stuff and that they have to learn it by doing. And then the majority of actors, I mean, in Los Angeles and probably London as well, but I don't work in that area, so I can't really speak to it, but they don't get the opportunity to be on set and learn because they're terrified when they start getting on set that they just want to do a good job and make sure that they're not they're out of the way and they're not out of like line. And so it's unfortunate because I think that there's this like miscommunication between departments that's happening constantly. And so that's why I'm always like, I love seeing our community work with each other and grow together, because that's how they learn to collaborate on set, especially if they're learning with a new director or they're meeting at a networking event, a community building event, and being like, we should shoot like a spec sometime, or we should shoot this sometime. And I think that's the best education, is put yourself onto set as much as possible, whether that's background and just seeing and observing and watching, or whether that's, hey, I really want to shoot this scene. I'm inspired by this scene. I know you want to be a DP and you just got a camera, or I know that person has a camera. Do you want to like shoot something this weekend? Because like at the end of the day, you want to be on set, like put yourself on set. And don't put money into it. Just like use your phone if you need to. But actors are creating more stuff now, like more than ever, their own content. And I think there's such a success in that, because when they get onto someone else's project, whether smaller or large, they have the context to make those decisions and the comfortability to communicate on set, which is just great.
100%. And I started making short films and with a DP, a friend of mine, and I'm just approaching it as a learning experience. And to be honest, don't tell anyone, but I'm actually loving the cinematography and the directing. The acting is a bit of a chore. It's like, oh,
yeah, I get it. Yeah,
it's so fun and exciting and new,
right? I'm watching movies and whatever it is, and sitting with my wife, going, "Oh, what a great shot! Do you see the light, the shot composition?" And she's going, "What? What are you talking about?"
Yeah, totally. You can't get out. Yeah, now you know.
I'm hooked on light and shot composition and framing, and rather
this is great.
Right?
This is great news.
Yeah.
So Daniel, now let's talk about how you are going about teaching us young actors how to hunt. Let's talk about your studio and your format and how everyone can find you if they're based in London.
Yeah, okay, super. So I'm on Instagram. It's absolutely tiny. I just started it. So it's called Screen Actors Development Lab. I modeled it a little like the Professionals Actors Lab in Toronto, so David Rodenberg. And we always would do scenes and we'd shoot them, and then we would look at them. And he would talk about the business and what it means to be an actor and all of that kind of stuff. I don't have a big website. I don't have like big marketing, because we tape them and then we talk about, different ways of doing it and what's going on, and all of the sort of the training and the teaching that I've learned from David, as well as, Meisner-esque and a bit of Stanislavski and Strasberg, or, all of the traditional practitioners, but modern day. And then I also incorporate what you guys focus on the technical aspect.
Great.
Eye lines, and don't hang, when you've got your cell phone, yes, this is natural, but what are you looking at? I'm looking at
exactly. Yeah. We have a whole class on that, because I'm like,
whole class on it.
Yeah, because what you're looking down at is not what the camera's looking up at. It's just it's not. It's great.
I talk about the technical aspects of filming and and the mindset as well.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
We're going to do a collaboration. I know it. I'm very excited about this. I think on the horizon, we will be doing a collab, because I think we bring in like a lot of the technical and the like community building and like collaborating aspect. And I think you do the exact same, but you even bring in more from like the actor experience, like Haley, of just like, what does the physical action of drinking look like on camera? How am I interpreting that? Like how am I remembering to do that? Like, just the everyday becoming a part of the camera process. So I'm really excited about that. Daniel, thank you so much for joining us on an episode of this podcast. We're going to link to all of, and I'm so happy it's Saddle.
I used to be a rodeo cowboy. I used to be
Oh, yes.
and have a horse ranch and train horses. So
Oh,
that's so I wanted something that was memorable, and also there's the
100%.
Yeah.
I love that it's Saddle.
Daniel Fathers, you know him from the rodeo.
Join us in bridging the gap between talent and crew. Start by subscribing on your preferred podcast platform, sign up for our newsletter to stay up to date on vendor discounts, community events, and new podcast releases, and educate yourself through our free course releases on YouTube. It all starts at cinematographyforactors.com. And if you like this episode, consider leaving a review to make it easier for other listeners to find us.